Here's a recap of Michael Small's key ideas for what's working and what's not working using principles of negotiation between people with dementia and family members or other support persons. The facilitator helps assure that people feel listened to. This includes both the person with dementia and their family members or others who provide support. People often come to a family meeting with different views about the problem to be addressed and what should be done about this. We saw this with Sally and Dennis. In person-centered planning, it is important to start from common ground. What is each person saying? What is their perspective? What words are they conveying that you can capture? From this, identify where there is agreement about what is working and what is not working. Finally, the facilitator is unconditionally constructive in interactions with people who have different perspectives and different concerns. To be successful, the options counselor cannot take sides or criticize someone's perspective. Options counselors can break down issues into very small pieces to understand what central concerns are. This approach is especially useful to use when there are concerns related to safety or understanding the nature and source of distressing behaviors. This involves getting very detailed information about the concerns. It's time now to introduce you to the third set of characters in this training. In his introduction, Bill is reflecting back over a long journey with his wife, Sarah, who was diagnosed with younger onset Alzheimer's disease several years earlier. We will look back over their journey from the early stages of Alzheimer's to the end. Remember, these situations are portrayed by actors.
We've had quite the journey together. I'm glad that I've been here for Sarah. 40 years of marriage. We've been through a lot. I'm a lucky man. I can sit here, I just like to sit here and think about all that we've been through together, raising the children, the things we've accomplished, the places we've been. Until she got this diagnosis, we did everything together. We still do. We've had a lot of hard times, a lot, but we always managed to get through them together. This isn't ending the way I'd hoped it would. When Sarah first got her diagnosis of Alzheimer's, we were both terrified because we knew what this was like because her mother had been diagnosed and she lived with us for 2 years, and those were the hardest years of our marriage. Sarah shouldered most of the burden of care. I was really busy with my work. I couldn't really help out much. The kids did what they could, but eventually we had to put her in a home. Sarah cried for several weeks after that. She felt really guilty. And I will never forget what that place was like. The smell of the smells, the voices, people moaning and screaming. Sarah's mom was one of the loudest. Eventually they put her on various medications and she pretty much slept out the remaining months of her life. When Sarah was diagnosed, I swore I would never put her in that kind of place. But things are different now. It's kind of a long story, but I guess we have plenty of time. Let me tell you about it.
In this scene, Ashley, the options counselor, is meeting with Sarah, Bill, and their children for the first time. Up until this point, her husband and children had been doing most of the talking. Listen to Sarah's experiences in the very early stages of her disease.
So, Sarah, I want to hear from you. What's important to you?
Well, I feel kind of lonely. My family does a lot of whispering about me in other rooms. I want to feel listened to. I want to do more things. I want to be more active. I can do some things for myself, but they won't let me right now. So that's the main thing. I just want to be more like I used to be.
Bill, what are some things that you think that you can do to help Sarah feel more visible?
Well, I guess I shouldn't try to rush so much to do things for her. I
Yes.
try not to hover.
I agree with that.
And anytime you do need something, just let me know.
Oh,
okay?
of course, of course. Like when I'm trying to make some tea, I'm not going to burn the house down. So I can do that myself.
And I'll make sure that if she wants to continue working at the hospital, that we let everybody she is going to be working with there know the situation, and then I don't have to hang around as much, I guess.
Ashley asked Sarah what was important to her. At this point, the most important thing to Sarah was that her strengths and ability be recognized, and that she remain a part of things, and that her personhood be honored. Ashley then asked Bill to think about what he could do to provide the support that was most important to Sarah, keeping Sarah and what was important to her at the center of the discussion. In addition to asking Sarah to describe what was important to her, Ashley decided to use the what is working and not working tool, which he refers to here as the preference map.
When I first met Sarah, Bill, and her children, Sarah had just started treatment for depression. And after meeting with her family and learning her family history and the people that are important to Sarah, I could tell that her family really cared about her, but they were smothering her. Every time I directed questions at Sarah, the family would frequently interrupt and answer the questions for her. I noticed when Sarah wanted to do something, the family would jump up and do it for her, even though she wanted to, and she was capable to do it. So with problems like this in a family, I try to get everybody on the same page using the preferences map. And so starting first with that, I addressed all my questions to Sarah. And I asked her, what is working in your life? And what isn't working in your life? And Sarah responded with, she started to feel invisible after the diagnosis. I asked Sarah to describe the things that made her feel invisible. And she had a hard time finding the words, but her family was really listening to her. I asked Sarah, what would make you feel more visible? And after she described her feelings and the things that would help her, I asked her family, is there anything else you guys want to add? And they did. And along with Sarah's acceptance of what they had added to the chart, we were able to create a plan for her and her family to move forward in this transition.
By using what's working and not working, the family could focus on what was most important to Sarah and recognize that she was still capable and had a lot to offer. By helping Sarah make her voice heard by her family, Ashley was able to build trust and open channels of communication. Communication between Sarah and her family had been blocked by fear of dementia and concern with protecting Sarah. As a result, actions that were meant to be helpful were isolating Sarah and ultimately would have fostered dependence and depression. We have now met all of the key players in the Tier 2 training and have seen how the options counselor helped them understand the purpose of getting together. In the process of getting to know these people with dementia, the others who are important to them, and their unique circumstances, the options counselor also helped to establish trust. Let's move on to the next steps of the team performance model identifying goals and roles, commitment, and implementation of plans. And the remaining modules will focus on performance and renewal. The options counselor can use the information generated through the tools of inquiry to help with the person with dementia and families think about what success would look like to them. The concrete work of the family team begins here as they begin to identify specific goals that will guide their planning. Several tools are available to use in generating workable, person-centered decisions that are based on the individual and family's voice, rather than by a more prescriptive approach that starts with a menu of available services. These include envisioning success, what they expect outcomes to be, exploring possibilities, what are opportunities, and understanding choices. All of these tools are strength-based and person-directed. As we discussed in Module 5, the individual and family are driving the decisions, and the options counselor supports them from the back seat. The initial plan to support Sarah emphasized her need to be engaged in her family and community as Sarah, and not as a dementia victim. The options counselor helped the family focus on her strengths. Looking back, here is how Sarah felt about that experience.
She helped me tell the others I wasn't useless yet. After that, things were better. I helped put things on the shelves at the gift shop one day a week, and Bill and I started going to places together almost every single day. We'd go to the kids' house or the mall or the park. I got a kick out of watching my granddaughter play soccer. She's only 6 years old and she knows how to play. Bill and I cooked together and washed dishes together and talked about the day and about our children. I even started working on the dollhouse furniture again. That was a really good time.
After they focused on what was working and not working for Sarah, the family began planning ways to address what was not working and to support what was working. The most important thing was to treat Sarah as a person who had a lot to offer to her family and community. Her goal was to maintain her volunteer and other community roles as long as possible. Together they came up with a plan, and each person identified a way they would commit to the plan. Ashley adopted the tool Changing Roles and Responsibilities for this aspect of planning and implementation. Sarah's role was to express her feelings and desires. Bill agreed to talk to the hospital volunteer coordinator to identify tasks that Sarah could do. Bill also committed to taking Sarah to concerts. Joyce, their daughter, offered to ask Sarah's friends to involve her in more of their activities, such as going to lunch or shopping. And John, their son, volunteered with Sarah one day a week for Meals on Wheels so that she could continue that activity. Ashley, the options counselor, identified resources that could support each of the family members as they assumed these and other roles and responsibilities. Because Sarah was aware of and concerned about the future, it was a great opportunity for her to direct her own long-range planning. The options counselor was especially helpful here, connecting Sarah to the ADRC's Alzheimer's and Dementia page and the Alzheimer's Association website, I Have Alzheimer's Disease. Sarah had a great interest in joining the support group for people with dementia, and Bill offered to take her. Their son John offered to help them with issues related to legal and financial planning, while their daughter Joyce pursued information on decisions related to healthcare representatives and identifying services that would be helpful to Sarah and Bill in the future. Because Sarah was adamant that she did not want to be a burden, Joyce agreed to begin learning about different types of residential care settings and talk to her mother about her preferences. We will talk more specifically about planning that emerged from this process in Module 8. You can find more information about these services from the ADRC and Alzheimer's associations at these links. Sarah and her families accomplished a lot in their time with the options counselor. They recognized Sarah's strengths and realized how they could support those strengths so that Sarah could be fully engaged in their lives. They also understood the importance of her full participation in planning for a future when she could no longer speak for herself. This is not a one-time process. As indicated here, Sarah, Bill, and their children will continue to explore a range of options, contacting the options counselors as needed.
Do you guys have any other questions for me?
I don't think so. We sure appreciate you putting us onto that Alzheimer's Association website and the support groups and the hotline.
And what about that connection, that
The
something connection?
ADRC,
Yes.
Aging and Disability Resource Connection.
Right.
You definitely can find information on there.
We should do that then, right,
Sure.
honey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.